Hello there, Ray here, and today I will be showing you a faster design for my OverWorld Hostile Mob Farm. Last week I made a fast hostile mob farm, and this video will just be a continuation of that, so if you have any questions about this farm design, check out the previous video, and then I'll explain the rest in this video. So with this design, it's very similar to my previous one, where the mobs will spawn here inside this tripwire, and this will activate this observer block, which will also cause this piston to pull the floor from underneath it, and the mobs will fall down. But in this one, I also have the mobs being pushed down at the same time so that they die more quickly, and this was a change I had to make because of this piston warping one, which was very successful, and it would actually kill them and get much higher rates than that one would. But in here you would have it so that the mobs would actually get piston warped through the pistons and the observers were instant, but this was removed, the piston warping as well as the instant observers. So in this one here I had to change it up where I have the observer block also being fed into a piston back here, which will just raise up, and this block here will just cause a block update over here, which will cause this observer to power this piston with the slime block, which will come and push this entity that is standing here downwards, which will cause it to actually fall faster than if it just did not have pistons here. So without the piston, it falls pretty slow. You can see the difference where just having a piston there would make it die more quickly than before. So with this design, it produces around 161,000 items per hour, and it is 1 meter wide and 4 meters long, and it is also tileable even with the slime blocks here. But I also made a little bit different design. It's a different variation. This one's only 3 meters long. It's also one. It's also tileable. But in this one, it uses the armor stand. It works very similar, where the piston moves the armor stand upwards into this tripwire here, and then this will be detected by these observer blocks, and this observer block will cause the piston to pulse and push the mob down, but it kind of activates a couple times, and this is just because of the way the armor stand moves up and down and the way the tripwire gets detected. And here we also have a second set of observer blocks which comes around and just causes the piston to pick up the slime block. It doesn't, or else it would just leave the slime block down here. But with this version here, you do get more items per hour than that one, but with this armor stand, it's extremely laggy to actually use this type of variation, where this one is quite a bit better. With, you can see you can get 20 TPS with this one easily. So to keep this whole entire module within the two sub-chunks, the whole spawning floor had to be moved down 2 meters compared to where this one, see originally this one's right here, so this spawning floor was moved down 2 meters to make room for the slime block as well as the piston, because they're both transparent. If we did not have a block up here, then the sunlight would come right down and prevent mobs from spawning down there in the daytime, and therefore we need to have a block up here. And to keep the blocks within the second sub-chunks only, we don't want to have any blocks up here that are solid, so that way we had to move everything down 2 meters to fit that in. And over here we do the same thing where we moved it down, and we have zero blocks will block the sunlight, but we have a bottom slab here. But to prevent mobs from spawning on top of these, since these are solid topped, we do have buttons on top of here so that no mobs can actually spawn up here. You also could put glass up here if you wanted to, and also have a button over here on the side to prevent mobs from spawning on top of this piston that's over here, or else mobs could actually spawn inside this armor stand if it didn't have that button right there. So this is what the farm looks like with all the slices right beside each other, and they are tileable, and the way that this is done is by each slice is being moved over by one and then to the side by one so that the slime blocks do not connect with each other. And this, with this variation, you can get 20 TPS, which is nice. And then the killing mechanism is very similar to my previous farm, where the mobs fall down and activate a piston, which will push any witch over into lava, where most mobs will die from this iron bar here. Now underneath of the farm, we have a little bit different area to work with, since we have moved the entire farm down by 2 meters, which gives us 2 meters less to work with for the watering and the transportation of the items. So what we have here is that when the items do fall down into the water, we have it so that this is layer 0, where you normally bedrock. We have it so that the water washes the items over in this direction, and any baby zombies that happen to fall down here will fall on top of this magma block here. And these are usually just babies that come from the jockeys. That's how they survive, and they will die off in the magma blocks. And then the items get pushed over into these corners here, and there are stairs here, and the stairs have a small hole which will allow the items to fall through, and then they get pushed over to the next section, and this just continues until all the items get moved over into the corner where they will be collected. And with this system, there is also over here, there's also a alternating water stream. So you can see that if we have a source block here, and then if we had a source block over here, they would cause a source block in this corner here. So we have a source block down here, And then we have next source block up 1 meter and then down, up. This allows it so that the source blocks don't create more water streams or more source blocks. And then we also have it so that we have some, gates here that are holding the water back, as well as we also have cauldrons here, which are just preventing items from falling on top of these upside down stairs. And then we also have it so that the iron bars connect to cauldrons. You can also use pistons if you want to. But with this water design setup that I came up with, it's very unlikely for items to actually get stuck here, because items would only be able to get stuck on this half piece of ice over here, and most items that fall down will get accelerated by the water, and therefore they will always be able to get past the ice piece and continue onto the water strip. So what's different about this design is that any items that come through will continue going through the area, so there is no like special place where the items be able to go without the mobs. So if a zombie, like a baby zombie, would fall down here, he could actually pick up the items that came through, but he would die from the magma blocks. And there was a bug where like mobs can actually pick up stacked items, but when they die they'd only drop one of them. I think it's been fixed by now, but that way you don't have the mobs picking up all your items. But with this, the items should not be able to get stuck over here, and they'll continue on, and that is different from my previous version. But also with this, there is a little bit less spawning spaces, or space for the mobs to spawn, just because each slice is 4 meters wide instead of 3, so there's only like around 13,000 spawning spaces in this farm, versus the previous design, or the armor stand one, where there is around 17,000. So that's why the items per hour could be a little bit more in the armor stand design over this one. Although this farm design is not the fastest of its type, I will be showing one which is. But if you would still like to see this world, there is the world download in the description. If you found this interesting, show me the like. If you'd like to see more mob farms like this, subscribe. And if you have any questions, be sure to comment. Bye-bye!